Hey weirdos, this is Evan Jarvix with Make Oklahoma Weirder. This is your local music vlog for the week. I am driving and trying to record a vlog at the same time. And it is Friday morning, March the 29th. And I'm going to try not to linger so much over one particular topic, like I know I've been guilty of the past couple of weeks. If you hear that beeping, I apologize. It's just my car getting mad at me. Okay, Byron Berline benefits. 2 of them are happening this weekend. Friday is today, and that is happening at the 51st Street Speakeasy. They're having a benefit show. It's $5, 2 stages. One, the normal indoor stage, as well as an extra patio stage outdoors. So lots of singer-songwriters, lots of familiar faces from kind of the very connected music community here in Oklahoma City. And that is happening tonight, 21 plus, of course, being the Speakeasy. Another one is happening on Sunday. It's probably the more publicized one. It is happening at Tower Theater, and those tickets are $25 to $50, although I think some of those are sold out in certain tiers. And that one's got a bit more in the way of full bands, maybe bigger name recognition. Red Dirt Rangers is on that, and Red Dirt Rangers certainly doesn't just play anything. Byron Berline is actually playing that as well. Steel Wind, which is like a pretty up-and-coming bluegrass band. There's lots of good stuff happening there. One of the members from Turnpike Troubadours, I think, just got added. So that one's a big deal too. If you don't know what I'm talking about, by the way, Byron Berline was the owner, curator, historian, musician who ran the Double Stop Fiddle Shop in Guthrie, Oklahoma, which tragically burned down pretty much entirely last month when a flower shop got caught on fire. It spread to the fiddle shop, and it just went up in flames. There were priceless instruments, priceless historical artifacts. I think they recovered some safes from the wreckage, but other than that, everything is gone. And this is also the man's livelihood. He was on vacation at the time, and so everyone just came together really quick, put together some fundraisers, some benefit shows. I know these 2 that are happening this weekend aren't even all that there is. I know there's at least one more happening later this year. So lots of love from the music community for one of the major figures of American music, Americana, bluegrass, folk music, not just in Guthrie, but just in general. And so those are happening this weekend. Check one out if you can. Let's see. Yes, I hear you. Thanks. Sorry. Doing a little bit of traffic maneuvering here. Okay. I gotta shout out the Deli. The Deli turning 40 years, with a 40-year anniversary show happening all weekend, starting tonight. Tonight is my so-called band, which I'm, they're a cover band, so since my platforms supports original music, I don't really talk about them so much, but Saturday and Sunday is just day-long awesomeness from a lot of bands, both current and past. Some bands are getting back together just to play this show, and that's all very intentional. The Deli has made a point to put together a lineup that sort of represents a bit of a span or a scope of these 40 years, which is a long time to be running as a live music venue in Norman. Especially in today's climate, it's really hard to pull off whenever live music is not as in demand as it was perhaps 20 years ago in some ways. Anyway, there's just a lot of great bands playing this thing. There's a cool write-up in the Oklahoma Gazette all about it that kind of describes, it's not like a hard 40 years, it's around about 40 years that it's been around, and so they just decided to pick a weekend and do a big celebration, so it's really cool. I know one of the bands that's playing is Bungalowski, who's like a funk band that kind of stopped being a thing a couple years ago, but they're making a point to come play this show, which is really cool. And there's there's others too. There's a lot of choice bands, especially from the Norman area, especially if you go to the Deli a lot. Lots of kind of jam funk style bands, although that's certainly not all of it. And all of it builds towards Mike Hosty, who has a residency there on Sunday nights. Mike Hosty, local legend, who plays there every week, and so he just gets to close out the whole festivity, which is really cool. So shout out to the Deli, shout out for 40 years of making it work. Really like what you guys do. There's something called Psych Fest happening for the first time ever this weekend. It actually started last night. I want to say Rainbows Are Free played last night, which is like crazy awesome because they don't play very often these days. And yeah, it's like a who's who of psychedelic rock, who's who of anything that's kind of related to anything psychedelic or rock flavored in that way. So we're talking, kind of the sludgy doom metal of stuff like Turbo Wizard, or like kind of the alternative tinged psychedelia of like Costello. There's just tons of bands. Crowbone is on this thing. Oberon is up. They're from Ada, and so there's even some bands coming in from Texas and from the region, so really big deal, really cool, happening this weekend. Some of it happened last night, and then Friday and Saturday, both of which I think are $10 each day, and then yeah, it's 21 plus. I do want to mention that because it's happening at Resonator, and Resonator typically means all ages shows, but these are 21 plus. So Psych Fest, hopefully it's the first of many to come. Right. Want to mention Clams has an EP release at Blue Note Lounge. Blue Note being kind of a mainstay venue for Clams. This is a punk band that's kind of a big deal in certain circles. A lot of people probably haven't heard of them, and they haven't really had a lot of music out there, but in certain punk circles, I know their name has definitely gotten out there. I've seen out-of-state publications write about them. But they finally got this EP dropping on Saturday with a release show with Dire Gnome and Hang Dangerously. I don't know much about Hang Dangerously at all, but Dire Gnome for sure is a very reputable opener. And yeah, Clams is a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun. I went to a show one time a few years ago. They sacrificed a watermelon, threw it on the ground. I got watermelon guts on my shoe. I mean, these guys are crazy and awesome, and so Clams are definitely worth shouting out here. I want to mention Flock of Pigs dropped an NPR Tiny Desk concert entry this week, which I think is going to surprise a lot of people who have never heard of Flock of Pigs and are just checking out those desk concerts, because like halfway through you have a feeling like you know what it's going to be, and then here comes the trombone and clarinet to completely subvert what's been established. It's a really cool video. Speaking of music videos, Ester Drang dropped a music video as well with one of the tracks from their EP from last year, which was one of my top 5 EPs of the year. And it's a good one, very psychedelic, kind of just colors and images kind of over a performance. It's not that ambitious, but stylistically it's really cool. And so that dropped as well. I got about a minute left, and I want to shout out the hip-hop scene a little bit, because I feel like I haven't really talked about them much. I'm not going to talk about that beef that's going on, because that's a flash in the pan, if you know what I'm talking about. But I do want to talk about, shout out to Jacoby Ryan, first and foremost, for getting that write-up in the Gazette. He's still cranking out those tracks once every week, which is really awesome. It's so much I'm not keeping up, but I'm trying to. I want to shout out MC. So I haven't mentioned MC before on the vlog, I don't think, but I know I've mentioned him on social media, and I wish I had more time to talk about this. He dropped a mixtape on Valentine's Day that is really good. It's one of my favorite hip-hop releases of the year, and I think it's not getting quite as much attention as it deserves. He's had a couple of cool announcements recently, but one of them, he did an interview where he talked about the difference between a mixtape and an album, which I still struggle with. So check out that interview. It's pretty cool. And check out that album, too. So shout out to MC.